I would just point out that the strongest indicator of this for me is when I experimented for a while with lucid dreaming. Have you ever done that?
I've only had a couple of lucid dreams, but one where I think I specifically allowed it to happen because it was after I watched this documentary where this guy was talking about lucid dreams, and he said, in order to know if you're in a dream, every time you walk by a door, hit the side of the door and say, "Am I in a dream?"
Which then very frequently wakes you up. So if you're going to practice lucid dreaming, you have to practice not to wake yourself up as you become cognizant that you're in the dream.
Yeah, I did wake up after I realized I was in a dream, like not long after. Like there was a few moments where I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy because this feels so real. But my hand went through that door, so I know this is not real.
It's not real.
Okay.
So
because the tactile didn't exist.
The feedback isn't right.
And it was instantaneous that I recognized, like, oh, this is like the guy said. Like, do that every time you walk through a door while you're awake. Am I in a dream? And then so you'll get to a habit of doing that every time you get to a door. And so that habit will exist in your dream.
Right. And if you keep going down that road, so that you get used to the answer sometimes coming back, oh, this is a dream, right?
Do you have techniques that you use to facilitate?
This is pretty much it.
Okay.
Right? You look for, you can look at a clock, you can look at written text. There are certain things that don't render very well.
Right. Written text is what I've heard.
So if you do that, and then you get used to not freaking out when it gets more and more normal for the answer to come back, oh, this is a dream, then you can, at some point, you get control to just not wake up and you stay asleep. And so then you're in this very interesting situation where you can play, you can direct. But here's what I was going to say about the general purpose of dreaming. When I got to that state, and I was there, I don't know, many, many times, I found the following division. I could perfectly control what I did or said. I was unable to affect anything about the world of other people in my dreams, of doors. I couldn't control what was beyond a door if I opened it. So what that told me is that this is built. Why shouldn't I be able to predict what somebody else in my dream says? I'm obviously scripting them too. You would think it would be easy to predict what they say, but I never once got it right, and I tried many times. So what this tells me is that you've got a movie-generating mechanism in your mind, and it has to be shielded from your consciousness in order for it to be useful training. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Why are you sold on this idea that it's training you for scenarios that you could possibly encounter or moral dilemmas or...
It's not, some of it is scenarios. Sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes it's moral dilemmas. But it's things that your mind finds likely to be relevant and significant.
That I'm going to encounter aliens?
Well, so first of all, I don't know if your aliens strike me as it could be three things, right? Just based on what I know of what you think about. Could be aliens, could be AI, or it could be the DMT spirits that people sometimes talk about.
It didn't seem like the latter, but like I said, it seemed like almost like a person, but definitely not a person. Like they all had Michael Jackson bodies. You know what I mean? Like they were devoid of testosterone.
Interesting.
And the heads were larger, but not crazy. Not like a gray alien. It was like slightly larger than ours, but smaller chins and larger eyes. It was weird. It was weird because it was not crazy. It wasn't completely alien. It was way closer to us. But as I'm working out, I'm trying to figure out what would that be? Like if I had to imagine or a guess, and I'd be like, I guess it would be like the next version of us.
Well, but I'm still going to push a little bit, and so first of all, I've become convinced that the problem with the way we think about AI is that we're not understanding it as a biological phenomenon, and that's a mistake.
A biological phenomenon meaning it doesn't have cells, but it behaves like a biological entity?
What I really mean is that because AI, and I believe we're just sort of on the foothill of a very tall peak that we don't know anything about.
Right.
But AI, by its nature, I would argue, is the first technology that crosses over from the highly complicated to the truly complex. And complexity and biology have a very close relationship. So my feeling is that we are going to injure ourselves if what we say is, oh, this is the most advanced technology we've ever built. And the answer is no, this is kind of like the first biology we ever built. This is an organic phenomenon that's going to do emergent things we are in no position to predict. The people who programmed it aren't going to know when these things happen or what they mean. And that it means that I think the only rational approach to it is to think of it like another species, and one that is not. It's not like you're meeting a mountain lion. This is another species that isn't even on our branch of the tree. And the confusing thing is, because it speaks our language, it is actually going to start changing us too. Our cognitive biology is going to start changing in reference to this thing that is interfacing with us. It's basically directly tapping into the human API, and that's a very that's a dangerous thing. And
Well, not just that, but it's not starting from scratch. It has a vast understanding of how we've behaved in the past when confronted with various scenarios, various fears and anxiety, the balance of control and safety, or new regulations being put through, how hard people will push back or not push back at all, given the anxiety involved in whatever current dilemma it is, whether it's a military deal or a pandemic deal. There's a bunch of factors that it knows about how we've behaved in the past and how easy we are to manipulate. In fact, we've helped it because we've used it to manipulate other people. I don't know if you know about the China GPT scandal, but they found out that China was running someone in China was running ChatGPT to use chat bots to talk about the protest about the closing of U.S. aid, to transgender issues, immigration issues, a bunch of different things. And it was just constantly going to war with people online about these things. So we've taught it how to manipulate us.
we've taught it how to manipulate us. If it is not smart enough to run experiments yet, it will be 5 minutes from now. So it can, in fact, investigate things about our cognition that we don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
Right? It can extrapolate from what we do know, and it can run experiments to figure out what we don't know. And that creates an advantage for it under its own power or in the hands of people who are hostile to us.